That's for sure. All right, let's get into tonight's agenda. And after the Penrith Panthers down the Canberra Raiders on Saturday night, Panthers coach Ivan Cleary accused the match officials of managing the Raiders back into the game. The NRL responded today by hitting Cleary with a $20,000 fine, and ARL Commission Chairman Peter V'landys fronted the media this afternoon.
It's very, very important people consider what they say at these press conferences. To question someone's integrity is not going to be tolerated, and that's what happened during Ivan's press conference. He realistically questioned the integrity of the match official. We'll take constructive criticism on referees and when they make mistakes, etc., but questioning someone's integrity is overstepping the line. As an elite coach, he is a role model. And as a role model, people look up to him. So if you have junior coaches and you have parents on sidelines, you don't want them questioning the integrity of the referee because it was allowed by licence up on the elite level. And there's nothing worse than being at a junior game and listening to the abuse hurled at referees. It's got to stop. Look, I think Ivan's realised he's made a mistake and I hope he's learned from it. Ivan's a great guy. I'm not picking on Ivan, but what he said was wrong and it needs to be called out.
The chairman was not happy. Were you as alarmed as Peter V'landys by the comments from Ivan Cleary?
I wasn't alarmed, no. I could see both sides of it. I think look, I wouldn't say deliberately that they managed the Raiders back in the game, which is what Ivan said. But I think subconsciously that does happen in the game. I think there's an inbuilt mechanism. I know, look, it hasn't happened this year, but in past years, the referees have been graded after every game. And hang on a second.
Yep.
Within that, it's regarded, a close penalty count is regarded as good refereeing, whereas a lopsided penalty count was always regarded as poor refereeing. Now, that doesn't account for the fact that some teams are more disciplined than others. And I think in the past, there's certainly been some, I don't want to say square-ups, but a little bit of closing the gap as far as the penalty count goes, and I think Ivan was caught in that trap.
I disagree, Kenty. I reckon you're heading into dangerous territory when you start suggesting that match officials are stage managing results and penalty counts. Maybe it happened 10 years ago or further back than that, but there's no way it's going on in this day and age. And I think Ivan's kidding himself. He's going to challenge this. He's going to challenge the $20,000 fine.
Hoops, do you think it was despicable and deplorable?
Yeah, I do.
To question the integrity of the match.
Hang on. I think it was what he said.
I think it was inappropriate what he said, but it wasn't one of those ones where he got worked up in the dressing room and said, "I'm going to go and risk a fine." It wasn't a planned attack on him.
That's not his style either.
No, it's not his plan. If you want my opinion, I would have been happy with the $20,000 fine, but I would have suspended half it, like he's done. And I will repeat this. If they're going to fine Wayne Bennett $20,000 for breaking biosecurity and putting the comp at risk, and then say that was a wake-up call, how can you say this was deplorable and despicable?
Was the word despicable used? I read
yes,
deplorable. I think Ivan Cleary is walking into a gunfight with a pocket knife, challenging this. He questioned the integrity. Doesn't matter if you rant and rave and throw bottles and spit saliva everywhere like Ricky Stewart has at times and been heavily sanctioned as a result.
What's Ricky's biggest fine, do you know?
He questioned the integrity of the match officials' bars.
I would almost say that when you approach such comments as calmly as Ivan did, it's more calculating. When you go in and blow your top out of passion and question a decision, that's kind of heat of the moment stuff. But
it didn't create big headlines, that, Ben. The public fallout
doesn't matter, Paul.
Well, no. I think. Look, he shouldn't have said what he said, right? He shouldn't have said it. But I don't think. I don't think Ivan's completely wrong here. I think the $20,000 was over the top, particularly as Buzz's point was, when you compare it to another bloke who's a coach who put the whole competition at risk. They've both been fined the same amount.
Guys, can I bring you back to what the story was on Saturday night? And you said it wasn't Ivan Cleary blowing up. The story was Penrith's 8 straight. And comments from people that this is one of the finest 40 minutes of football we've ever seen. No one, it wasn't a headline, Ivan's rant.
But it wasn't a rant. That
doesn't make it any less relevant.
It was not
he said
a rant.
It in a press conference.
Or whatever.
He said it in a press conference. I think the fact that the Panthers as you just touched on, had won 8 in a row. They're flying. They're on top of the comp. Yet he has a loose carry at a press conference where he wades into very dangerous territory. Now, as a result, he's fined and appealing it. And when you go through all the incidents, the 3 incidents in question, do you really feel as though they were cause for outrage?
Okay, let me ask you.
Were they that bad, the decisions?
Let me ask you this then.
Sorry.
If in the past the referees are marked in their post-match performance like the players are, and part of that grading of how well a performance they've given was the penalty count.
But hang on, you can't go back.
This is
are they doing
happening
that
last
now?
year, Hoops.
Are they doing it now?
I'm saying you can't...
No, it's not relevant if they're not doing it now, Kenty.
But how do you know they're not?
marking? Well, I'm asking you, do you know the answer?
No, well, no, my point is this, though. If it's happening subconsciously, it could still be happening. If it happened a year ago for the past 5 years under a different administration there...
You can't subconsciously manage a team back into the game. It has to be a conscious thing.
Well, no, yes, you can.
Yeah, guys,
Manage a team. You can't award penalties on purpose to get a team back in the game by accident.
100%.
No, but there have been square-ups over the years, and I heard you say on radio yesterday there was a code word they use.
That's years ago.
Oh, is it? How do you know it's years ago?
Because I remember the story at the time.
Yeah, but how do you know it's
I think
not...
Steve Mascord wrote it. That shows you how long ago it was.
You think it stopped?
There is no way that the referees are stage managing teams back into games.
To get teams back into the contest.
I don't think... See, I think you've got it round the backwards. I don't think that they're looking to try and, OK, they're struggling, the Raiders, we'll get them back into the game. I think they sit there and they worry about criticism at a 9-2 penalty count, so they think if I get it to 9-7, then I won't get criticism from either coach because 9-7 looks like a fair appraisal of the performance. But on the back of that 9-2 to 9-7 penalty count, the Raiders... And I made those numbers up, but what I'm saying is they come home and score a couple of late tries, narrow the gap, and that's what the coach is talking about when he's talking about managing them back.
Let me ask you this. Did the referees have anything to do with Liam Martin rushing in when Nathan Cleary had made a tackle on Jordan Rapana and going in when the tackle was already complete and adding to the fact that he went over the sideline? No.
What about when Jordan Rapana attacked as third man Josh Mansour?
Yep.
Penalty?
What was called a set restart.
But it should have been a penalty? You know it should have been.
So are you suggesting that they didn't give that penalty because they're managing the Raiders back into the game?
No, I'm not suggesting that
because
at all.
Because they can get it wrong.
You know when I blow up with coaches, putting on a stink like Ivan did the other night, I blow up when they lose. They lose a tight game and they're dirty and they're, you know... And look, he didn't use the word cheat, guys.
I think that's forgivable. If you're on the wrong end of the scoreboard...
So you're happy to call someone a cheat or manage...
No. It's what I'm saying is it's understandable. This makes it more calculating.
Going after... Maybe it makes it more honest rather than calculating, given the fact there's no agenda because they've won the game.
Do we agree that the questioning of the match officials' integrity, the NRL need to take a zero tolerance policy?
Of course.
100%.
Yeah?
100%.
Absolutely. Yeah. It's off tap. You can't do it.
Do we think that Ivan Cleary questioned the integrity of the match officials?
Yeah, I do.
Yes, we do.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Okay. Last question.
What's that proven?
Last question.
Far away.
Well, what's a zero tolerance policy then? If you're not going to fine a coach for questioning the integrity of the match official, tell me.
Like everything, there should be a grading in fines.
Ben, I'm not saying he did the right thing. I'm saying I just think what he was saying was correct.
Okay.
And I'm saying it wasn't despicable or deplorable, but it was lower.
So you've got to listen to us sometimes, Ben, too.
If that's all right with you,